Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. So I'm recording this on Monday, and there's a new escalation in this war. And I'm keeping track of these now on a spreadsheet. We'll look at that in just a minute. Associated Press, Lebanon sees deadliest day of conflict since 2006 as Israeli strikes kill 492. Okay. Israeli strikes Monday on Lebanon killed more than 590 people, including more than 90 women and children, Lebanese authorities said, in the deadliest barrage since the 2006 Israel-Hezbollah war, also known as the 2006 Lebanon War. The Israeli military warned residents in southern and eastern Lebanon to evacuate ahead of its widening air campaign against Hezbollah. And they are doing that. So this is from Visegrad 24. It looks like it's very reminiscent to me of when the war in Gaza started, when Israel invaded Gaza. Like, you had all these people at first going south, and then from there, things kind of got worse. So it's almost like part two. To me, this kind of feels like a sequel to the Hamas operation. Now things are focusing on the north with Hezbollah. Okay, so I went ahead and I put this on my spreadsheet. If you missed my last video about this, I just recently created this spreadsheet called Timeline Israel War Escalations. And really, I wish this is something that I did when this started. I just wasn't thinking ahead, but I've now put this together where I'm tracking anything that seems like a major escalation, something that ratchets this conflict up a notch. And we've had a few of those, like one day after another. Actually, I need to change that to the 23rd because it seems like it's mostly today when this has occurred. Okay, so you can come here anytime. I'm not going to review them now, but it starts with the October 7th attack. And the link for my spreadsheets is in the description box of each video. Just go there and then you can access all my spreadsheets. Just make sure that you click on the tab Timeline Israel War Escalations. But there's been a number of like major events that have taken things up a notch, and they just keep going up. They keep coming. And we've had almost 3 days in a row. Well, maybe more like, I don't know, 6-7 days. So you have just a little while ago on the 17th, you had the pagers that exploded somehow. It seems like, as of right now, I guess there's some doubt as to whether Israel did it, but who else would have done it? I don't know. But you had these pagers explode that Hezbollah was using, and then the next day, it was more of their electronic devices like walkie-talkies. And then a couple days after that, there were all these top officers and commanders that were taken out by Israel. And then after that, the next day, you have the farthest that Hezbollah had fired south into Israel since the start of the war. And now, 2 days later, you have the deadliest day in Lebanon since the 2006 Lebanon war. So it just makes me wonder, like, how much further is it going to go? I feel like there's no signs of this stopping. I feel like it is going to become a regional war. And frankly, just the way that I feel about it, my opinion, I feel like this is the last war. And the fact that it's starting to focus on the north, which, according to the Bible, the War of Armageddon, it's supposed to be taking place in the north part of Israel, is a little bit concerning. Okay, and now, as of today, they have a name for this operation where Israel's now focusing on Lebanon and Hezbollah. It's called Northern Arrows. So it is now a named operation, and we'll see if it turns into some kind of full-scale war. We don't know. And then just a little bit more, this is from Times of Israel. Israel keeps moving up the escalation ladder, hoping Nasrallah will jump off. Yeah, things keep going up and up and up. Israeli jets carried out massive airstrikes across southern Lebanon on Monday, the latest escalation in its attempt to force Hezbollah to stop its 11 months of fire in northern Israel. Now, that's kind of interesting because that was really after the initial attack, that was the first escalation, was that Hezbollah decided to join the conflict. Not declaring war on Israel or anything like that, but supporting Hamas in Gaza. Ever since that time, the 8th of October, they've been firing rockets at Israel and doing other things too. Okay, so according to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel is, quote, destroying thousands of missiles and rockets aimed at Israeli cities and Israeli citizens, end quote. If the terror group's leader, Hassan Nasrallah, insists on continuing to launch rockets and drones at Israel to demonstrate solidarity with Hamas, a decision that has cost his organization and Lebanese citizens dearly, Israel's current attacks will prove advantageous in the event of a ground invasion of Lebanon. I don't know about you, but I think this is the first time I've ever heard any news outlet or anyone talking about a ground invasion. That would be a very big escalation. So it seems like they're saying that, look, for right now, we're just doing airstrikes, but if we need to, we're clearing the way for a ground invasion. So you decide if you want us to take that step or not. Okay, later on in the article, Israeli leaders have not been coy about their plans. Netanyahu, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, IDF Chief Herzi Halevi, and other officials all issued statements last Wednesday indicating that a quote-unquote new phase of the conflict was underway. So I guess the question is going to be, is this new phase Armageddon? Is that, when we look back after this is all over, is that what this is going to be? I don't know. It's the best candidate for Armageddon for a long time. Probably the last time. You'd have to probably go back to the Yom Kippur War, most likely, which was a surprise attack. Right now, it's not that Israel's being invaded, but could it lead to that later on down the road? Sure. I guess it depends on how things play out. I don't think anybody really knows. We'll see. You know, what if something happens where, like I've been saying, things like really come to a head, and, you know, a coalition or an axis really forms and solidifies. There's already an axis, but if Iran and possibly others really combine their forces and they decide, okay, we're just going to take care of this and we're going to invade Israel, I don't see why that couldn't happen. I know I'm probably oversimplifying, but we'll see. Okay, continuing. Quote, the center of gravity is moving north. We are diverting forces, resources, and energy toward the north, Gallant told Israeli Air Force personnel at the Ramat David Air Base. And this was the air base that was recently attacked over the weekend. Basically, in response to the pager attack and killing their senior leadership. So, okay, I very well could be adding more entries onto this spreadsheet pretty soon. We'll just have to wait and see. But that's the latest. And, and then overall, I wanted to show you this too. I have this spreadsheet called Timeline Israel Final War. When I first put this together, I was making the case that if you took this entire history of conflicts, like the Arab-Israeli conflict, the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, you might call the entire thing, with all of its conflicts, intifadas, terrorist attacks, operations, and full-on wars, if you took all of them together, the entire thing may be the final war. Whenever you read in the scriptures and it's talking about that final war, I don't know that they would have the language or they would describe it as like, oh, there's going to be a long series of conflicts over decades. I don't know. Maybe those prophets would have just seen the entire thing as one big war, because it kind of is. That's why you have the name Arab-Israeli conflict and Palestinian-Israeli conflict. It encompasses this overall conflict that's been playing out ever since Israel became a state. So I have all the major, wars, operations, the intifadas on here. So on row 2, is the current war. It's currently called, or it seems like everyone's kind of settled on Hamas war, but that name may change, and maybe really soon, depending on what happens in Lebanon. And it's kind of hard to get accurate numbers when it comes to the death toll. Maybe not so much on the Israeli side, but there's dispute about some of these over here because, you know, there's potentially politics at play and psychological operations and things like that. So it's hard to tell. And you would think that there would be somewhere you could go that has like really good numbers. And so far, I haven't found that. So I don't know if it's just because everything is under dispute or because the situation is too fluid to really solidify these things. If you know where I can find those, let me know. But it seems to me on the high end, if the numbers are to be believed, on the high end, the total like casualty account right now is at 42.2 thousand. And so if we're looking at this column right here, column I, and we compare it to other conflicts, nothing comes close, really. Here's the First Lebanon War, 20.6. The Yom Kippur War, 17.9. Six-Day War. So the Yom Kippur War was the last existential war that Israel faced where it could have been destroyed. And then the one before that would have been the Six-Day War, 16.5. And then its first existential war was the War of Independence, which is at 22.2. Now, the number for this war, again, I don't know. But even if you took the low end, it is probably still the most deadly war when you combine both sides, Israeli and then the enemies of Israel. I haven't seen anything official to say that, so maybe I'm off, but at the very least, it seems like it's kind of close. So, whatever. So this is not normal. If you're of the opinion, no, this is not the war of Gog and Magog because billions have to die. Well, that may be true, and we may just not be at that point yet. We're on this like ladder of escalation, and we don't know when the escalation is going to stop. If it does stop, it may only stop when Christ comes to the Mount of Olives. We'll have to wait and see. But things keep escalating, and already as it is, this is a war that stands out. This is Israel's fourth existential war, and it's not like even close to being done. It doesn't seem. All right, well, that's going to be for this one. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also, make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.